I'm Michelle Minnikin. I am a organisational psychologist and coach. So after spending 20 years in organisations doing psychology stuff, recruitment, coaching, personal development, leadership development, I quit corporate in 2016 and through a series of different businesses, I am now the culture captain or Quartermaster of Work Pirates. So if I'm allowed to swear, I will swear right now. So I'm on a mission to unfuck work. So helping aspiring work pirates do some of their own rewriting of rules and starting mutinies. And because I really love a challenge and, being a wife, girlfriend, Freudian slip there, mother, business owner, I am also writing a book, which is going to be called Girl Deprogramming. So it's to help women understand how society keeps them behaving like ladies, and help them free themselves from that good girl conditioning. And learn women just need to misbehave more. That's pretty much why I'm writing the book. Going back really far back into the deep sort of 80s. So funnily enough, my dad was in the army and I grew up in Northern Ireland. So I lived there from the age of 3 till the age of 7 in a place called Lisburn. And I was an English kid and I was we're not particularly religious in our family, but I was put in the Protestant box, and all the kids that I knocked around with on the streets in our little army streets were all Catholics. So they all went to the Catholic school. So Muggins here on her own was at the Harmony Hill Primary School, a Protestant school, which is bonkers for people in England. They don't realize it's that level of segregation. And I was always the weird English kid with not a lot of friends. Don't think teachers particularly liked me because I was a proper space cadet. And yeah, so you can't really see it, but I have a mark on my head, where a young man, probably age of 7 or 8, decided it'd be fun to slam a door in my face because I was English. So yes, that's kind of level of that understanding that bias at such a young age. So yeah, weird. And obviously the troubles going on in the background, people, bombs and guns left, right and center. I was quite a tomboyish girl. Mm-hmm. So unbeknownst to me, I haven't mentioned this at all so far, have I? Unbeknownst to me that I'd lived my entire life having ADHD. I only found out before my 41st birthday, which is brilliant. But it answers so many questions, it turns out. But so I was rough and tumble, always up trees, on my bike, running around, because I had that energy, and I'd almost get like eye rolls, mostly from women. It turns out that I wasn't ladylike, and I'm quite, that's a spade, that bluntness, and I was always admonished for speaking my mind. And I love the Brené Brown, clear is kind, unclear is unkind. So that was how I was living my entire life. That is a spade, you're being a dick. There's no filter. But I think I quickly learned, I suppose, that whole conditioning in terms of what is expected and what is not expected. I'm one of those people. I don't do subtlety really, so I take people as they come, and I'm annoying in the way that I always find something to love about everybody, and so I I got so much shit because you know, when you meet mums when you're pregnant and you go to the NCT and you meet your mums and then you just get what you're given. So none of us knew what we were having. So the two mums I hung around with, both of them had girls. And for some reason, all of my friends had girls. So Oliver was the only boy. And the amount of shit I got for letting him, because they had like buggies and pushchairs for their dolls. So Oliver I got him, he was like desperate for one because his friends had them. And I got told off for buying him a little pushchair. And like, Dad's pushchairs too. And I got told off that I was painting my toenails and he was like desperately wanting to paint his toenails. So I was like, I actually went doing that. I was like, oh, I've got some blue glittery nail varnish. So I put blue glittery, and he must have been maybe 4. And I got into trouble then as well. It's like, what's the harm? He's 4. I think bullying was significantly more overt then than now. And it's almost a form of like psychological torture with social media. So I banned social media. I'm like, you're not old enough to deal with the consequences, you know, just watching, not getting all conspiracy theory on you, but watching the social dilemma and looking at how the people that made the social media platforms do not allow their children on them tells you everything you need to know about those platforms. But I do see it with the girls in terms of TikTok's another one that I've banned because he snuck onto it. And some of the girls in his year smiling suggestively at cameras, lip syncing to songs with the lyrics along the lines of having rough sex on the bathroom floor, 12-year-olds. And that's almost, you know, looking at the whole kind of body image, it's more important to be pretty than anything for girls. And it's horrifying. It's really scary. It's more important what you look like than who you are almost. And that's the message that we're giving to kids. Like literally ever since watching some of those videos, and I've been in school to talk to them about it, just to highlight this is what's happening. And they're almost playing into that stereotype that women are there as objects, and then the boys are almost entitled to that sort of male sexual entitlement, entitled to those objects. And it's just terrifying. But I've had the song, you know, the Pink song, Stupid Girls, in my head for like the past 2 weeks. It's like, it's there's a line that said, what happened to the dream of a girl president? She's dancing in a video next to 50 Cent. That's literally it. And it's just one of the interesting things, and I've had to go through like a year of therapy / coaching around this, is when I found out that it was ADHD, and it wasn't me being rubbish, lazy, forgetful, slapdash, undisciplined, all of those things you tell yourself. And then you look at how you've been in work and how people have treated you in work. There was a lot of anger there because I didn't know, and they didn't know, and they were dealing with what was in front of them. So I've had to do some lot of sort of self-forgiveness and other people forgiveness. You know, there's still the odd dickhead in the past that, you know, they can go and chew rocks for all I care. But I worked in really lovely team, lovely people, and there was a task that we shared. It was like really admin heavy task, and it was all about looking at different spreadsheets and doing some paperwork. And so there's the ADHD part that now I know that's if something's really boring, I find it really difficult to do. But then I'm not diagnosed, but I have a strong suspicion that I'm dyspraxic as well. So having two screens for me is like, oh, this makes my life so much easier, because I can't switch from, like, when it's processing information, I can't, if I cut something from a spreadsheet to cut into another spreadsheet, that I'd get like bored / distracted / confused by the time. So it takes me longer to do things. And I remember getting like really winding one of the girls I worked with up, because she was amazing. She was like admin, efficient, organized, brilliant, and I was just a bit of a chaotic mess. And I had lots of sort of, why does it take you so long, look, you've made mistakes again, all of that stuff. And it was, looking back, it was biased. However, it was totally unintentional. She thought I was just shit, or didn't care. But it took me long because I had to check and try. And because of all of that admin problems, and my job was flipping arranging interviews. So I had to get to like 3 different people from different places in the same place at the same time. It's like, how did I do that? Because that is not my strength. I love Calendly because it's just like, I don't have to organize anything. You can see when I'm free and you can just book yourself in, easy. But that was my job, and I really struggled to get out of more of that entry level roles. So I was a chartered psychologist working as a recruitment administrator and struggling to get out of that entry level admin role that I know you have to get experience, until I had to leave organizations, until I went to Balfour Beatty, and they saw that my strengths do not lie in arranging interviews and interview admin and sending letters out. My strengths lie in problem solving. And then for 4 years, 4 promotions, because I was good at talking to people, bringing them in, exciting them about a project that we're doing, and solving problems so that was an interesting one. It is, looking back, it was biased, but at the time, nobody knew. I didn't know what it was. So dyslexia was a thing, and I'm not dyslexic. So that was the only, and ADHD was naughty boys who'd like caused trouble and end up in jail. And that wasn't me either. So the amount of flippant effort I spent trying to be normal, trying not to blurt out song lyrics every time anyone said a sentence, trying, just trying to keep your weird in, Shelley. And then having to like do this really hyper focused, concentrated work. It was one of those jobs, I suppose, that it was overly admin. It just didn't need to be that done, It's like, yeah. So it's interesting, really, because you don't know who is not diagnosed. So it's really important to really sort of support people and their needs, and understand that people do have different strengths and people do have different struggles outside of this neurodiversity stuff, because neurodiversity is everybody. Everyone's brains work differently, and if you try and it's from this, the whole industrial revolution, this is how factories work, so everything has to be done exactly the same way, and just, yeah, it was awful. I was bored out of my brain, which didn't help as well. I left Balfour Beatty. I was lured away by the promise of a smaller organization with more kind of influence and more money. And I think there was a significant mismatch in terms of expectations. So if you don't tell me what you want me to do, then I'm not a mind reader. I need to be explicitly told what what my boundaries are, what my parameters are. And I'd heard all the way through the interviewing and all the way through the the onboarding and all those conversations, it's all about collaboration. So my job was to win people over and get them to do things properly. And they didn't want to do things like properly, and I had no power or autonomy really. And I couldn't just say, no, we're doing it this way, because I was told that I had to collaborate and win people over. And you can't just, change doesn't happen straight away. So I tried loads of different ways of collaborating and winning people over. And I had a meeting after 6 months with my boss, and I said, I am really struggling. I can't get these people to collaborate with me. They were like software developers. They just weren't asked. Recruitment and recruitment marketing was just not their job. So it's just like, go away, you weirdo, leave us alone. And she turned around and said, I'm surprised. I'm really disappointed you weren't as big of a bitch that I wanted you to be. I'm like, nowhere did you ever say, Michelle, go in, like, what's the chops out of devil wears Prada. If I had that instruction, I could have, I'm good at improv acting. I could have played the bitch if I really, if you wanted me to, but I didn't have that sponsorship to be able to do it. And because in my career, getting a job is always hard for me, because I'm really not good at interviews. As you can probably tell, you ask me a question, I go off on a tangent. And I've had some really brutal feedback. And because my confidence was so low after that 6 months at the last organization, that I literally couldn't face interviews again. So, and I'd always wanted to work for myself, because I thought it just looked way more fun than being beholden to other people. So I was like, yeah, I'm just going to do this myself. There's a term that ADHDers use, and it's an experience we have, some of us have, and other people, but it's called rejection sensitive dysphoria, which means, and I see it in my little boy, so this rejection sensitivity, so anything that's perceived as criticism or potential for rejection or harsh feedback is really painful. You text your friend and they haven't texted you back, and like, oh God, what have we done? And that's like the anxiety is like, instead of saying they might just be busy or they forgot to text you back, and that I do that, so why couldn't other people forget to do things like that? But I catch myself sitting here thinking, nobody likes me. What is wrong with you? Then that's how I think, so totally coming back to my book, that's one of the ways that women are kept playing small, because we get that feedback from people that, you don't want to be bossy, and you don't want to be braggy or show offy and or assertive, and you have to be nice and kind and care about everybody else and put yourself last and do your dishes and iron your clothes. So you spend your life literally just on a tightrope. So you can't please everybody, and kind of unlearning that. Feedback tells you what about another person's preferences, doesn't tell you about, objectively what is right or wrong. I get my coaching clients to go and find their favorite author on Amazon and read some of the 5-star reviews and read some of the 1-star reviews. Yeah, it's powerful, isn't it?